Well, we're back for another show, and this we'll do this Tales from the Pumps thing because people seem to want to hear that story. So let's go with the lines in general that started because we were told, I'm trying to think, this was like 73, 74, dates are all off on me, but I don't know what happened. I think Nixon was still president, and there was something going on in the Middle East, some embargo or something, so we were told that basically gas was going to run out in the next 10 years. That was in the 70s. Gas hasn't run out. You have to take this for what it really was. This was just another way to get the prices up. And the way they did it was insidious, but we all know how insidious big corporations are. Well, when I made the deal with the guys at the Getty station, Bernie and Steve, they told me to get down here, at least 7:45 so they could regulate the line and open. So I got down there, and people weren't happy. Because when you tell people they can't have what they usually get, they get really perturbed. And of course they go for the least line of resistance, the guys that are pumping the gas, which was us. So there was a bunch of bullshit going on. So I got down there, and yeah, there is a line. We were on Ridge Road in Lyndhurst, and the cross street was 5th Avenue, and cars were all lined up all the way down 5th Avenue. So Bernie and Steve were pumping the gas. They told me and this other guy who hung around named Fat Frank to go down the line and make sure that the plates were, you had odd and even plates. One day was odd, next day was even. Also, you had to have under a half a tank of gas. So we were supposed to go down there and check, people's gas gauges and plates and shit, but then Steve let it slip that this kid that they just let go had stuck his head in somebody's window, and the guy rolled the window up on the kid's head. Had to call the cops, the whole bit. So this is how fucked up this was. So we did the whole thing. We walked down the line and checked everybody, and people were grumbling, this and that. And then it was like, put a big sign on the last car, which I noted was a Chevy Nova. This is the last car in line. So 2 things happened that day. One of these local idiots, a guy named Charlie Kavanaugh, dressed up as a fucking cop and pulled to right in front of the pumps, jumped out, grabbed the pump and stuck it in his car, screaming, he's a police officer, he needs the gas. I looked at this idiot and saw the gun hanging off the holster, and it was a .45 automatic with no place to put a clip. In other words, it was a fake fucking gun. I immediately called the cops, or Steve called the cops. Cops came up, grabbed this guy, and took him off. This wasn't the first time this guy acted up. He's kind of fucking weird and shit. He used to come into the bar and sit there and go, my father just died. And somebody would turn around and go, your father died 5 years ago. And knock this shit off. So that was one thing that happened. Another thing was, we didn't like people blowing their fucking horns, screaming and yelling at shit that we can't control. There was a limit. You got $5 worth of gas. Bear in mind that gas back then was 39.9 cents a gallon or something. It might have went to 60 point something a gallon, but still, $5, you were getting a lot of gas. So it wasn't, it wasn't our fucking call. It was the government's call. We were told we could only pump gas 2 hours a day and how much we were allotted to pump. The backstory was there were tankers in the fucking harbor loaded with gas. So this was just more bullshit to just get the price up. And you see, I'll go to the whole backstory right here, right now. After they pulled this a couple times, and people got tired of waiting in line, waiting in the dark, and doing shit like that, they paid. And that's exactly what they wanted you to do. They wanted you to pay. Once they inconvenienced you for a couple years, they made you see the light, and you had to pay. And this wasn't the first artificial shortage created. I remember they did it with coffee one time. They said there was a frost in Brazil, and this was way before this climate change was in presence. So it was a bunch of shit. But anyway, one of the more fucked up things I did see was this one guy, unbeknownst to us, cut into the line in front of another guy. All right, the guy was cool. He got out, he went to the back of his car, he unlocked his locking gas cap, walked up to the guy who cut him off, opened his gas tank, put the locking gas cap on, snapped it shut, and threw the key down the sewer. Of course, when the guy gets up to us, he wants us to yank this cap off. I'm like, no fucking way, Jack. I'll make a spark, the place will blow up. So there was a lot of shit like that that went on. And there's one story that I heard, but I can't confirm that it's true, but fuck it. It's interesting, so I'll tell it anyway. A couple towns over, somebody broke into an Amoco station overnight looking for money and didn't find any. But he did find the switch to the pumps. So he must have figured he could fill up his car and take off. Well, while he was doing that, another car pulled up. Next thing you know, the guy has a line and is only doing cash. This is how he's going to make out. Well, all was well and good until one car in the line was full of guys that basically robbed him and took the money. So basically, he not only got nailed for a B&E, he got nailed for a bunch of other shit. So that's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with more toward the end of the week. Maybe it'll be really weird cinema. Maybe it'll be Tales from the Pump. Who the fuck knows? But until then, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.